What's up? This is Kevin here at the underwater base known as CGRundertow, and the water's looking a little bit murkier than usual. It's kind of green. What's going on? Oh, this can only mean one thing. It means today we're checking out the Nintendo Game Boy. That's right, the original, the first console in the Game Boy line, which was released in 1989. Now, this isn't the first handheld console that Nintendo made. You might remember the Game & Watch in 1980. But this thing exploded when it came out. This is a very well-selling console, especially if you include Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, all the other iterations. But yeah, this thing's a beast. It hasn't aged as well as I'd like it to, but definitely had some great memories with this thing. But yeah, let's check out the features. Of course, gotta look at the controls. We've got a D-pad and B and A buttons, and select and start. So very similar to NES controllers buttons. The placement's a little bit different, but works great for these games. And you've got a headphone jack here on the bottom. There's your speaker. And on the side, there's your volume control and your external connector, which is used to hook up, your Game Boy Link cables or a Game Boy printer if you have one of those. And on the other side here, you have contrast control for your screen. And there's also a port there for an AC adapter. And there's your cartridge slot. And in the back, there's your battery pack. This thing takes 4 AA batteries, and they last a decent amount of time, usually about 10 hours. Which is, that's a lot of batteries these days. But compared to stuff like the Game Gear and the Atari Lynx, which were out around the same time, those took 6 AA's and didn't last for very many hours. So this thing had a little bit more life in it. So let's see the Game Boy in action. Pop in Super Mario Land, get that turned on. And one of the main problems with the Game Boy is unfortunately the screen. It's puke green, which is lame. But another kind of issue too is how it's really blurry while you're moving, which can be a pretty big problem with side scrollers. But with other games like Tetris and more stationary screen games, it works really well. And you can't deny the charm of a lot of these old Game Boy titles. They're small and cute, and the games are short, and some of them are just really awesome. But it's really hard to play Mario and talk at the same time, as you can see. But yeah, there you have it. A classic handheld console. If you're looking for one of these, they're not too hard to find. And there's lots of other versions too. The Game Boy Pocket is pretty sweet. It's like this, but a lot thinner, better battery life. You might also be interested in the Game Boy Light, which only came out in Japan. And it actually has a backlight, which solves a lot of those screen problems. But otherwise, it's the original. A lot of influence from this thing. Great nostalgia right there. So I hope you've been enjoying Game Boy Week here at CGRundertow. Catch you next time.